Hello and welcome to another session of Groundbreakers Live. I'm your host Javed Mohammed, and I'm very honored to have with us Scott Wesley, who is an Oracle Ace. Scott, welcome.
G'day.
All right. And Scott is based all the way out in Perth, Australia. I've never been to that part of the world, but how are things out there?
Isolated. We're a long way from many other cities, so yeah, when we want to go holiday somewhere, it's at least 3 hours to get to another country. So
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
yeah, we have the honour of being the most isolated capital city in the world.
Wow. Okay. So let's talk Apex, and that's probably why we're here. So just want to find out, what's your story? How did you become involved with Apex?
Well, I was looking back at my timeline thinking, what was my story? And I think it's a bit of a slow burn. Because I do recall, and I keep thinking about it, back in university, I stumbled across Mod PL/SQL, which is kind of like the precursor to Apex, where you're generating web pages through PL/SQL, but without the user interface. And I actually wished I did that for my final year project because it looked very good. And then that got forgotten about, and my career started, and I ended up writing Oracle Forms. So I've been an Oracle Forms programmer for some time. And then I started with a new company, and my boss suggested I start learning Apex because the talk of the town was, well, where's Oracle Forms going? What's the next technology? So she gave me the suggestion. I didn't really know much about it, and I started learning 3.1 maybe. And I started a new Oracle Forms project with that company, so it wasn't for another year or so that I started doing Apex projects, and I got excited straight away. So about 2009, I started some project work with Apex. I thought it was just a brilliant tool. All the problems that I complained about Oracle Forms seemed to have been addressed, and it seemed like a technology that was going to survive for a long time. 10 years later, here I am still doing Oracle Apex, still happy and enjoying it.
Right. So you probably developed many applications with Apex. And I know it's always hard to pick one, but I'm going to ask you to pick one. Is there one that is memorable or you're passionate about, or something you can share?
Well, I've been thinking about this because I've been with the same client for a while now. And while I guess you could say we've built a number of applications there, it's really been part of one behemoth. We just keep adding modules to this growing application. And I think it's good because here I am at a construction company building residential houses, and whatever the process is, from the lead coming from marketing for the salespeople to process to the company handing over the key to the customer, the house key to their home. It's a long journey, and there's so many things going on, and whatever the business seems to throw at us, we seem to be able to create an Apex module to solve the problem and do it quickly. So to have spent so long with one particular project and let this thing grow and see what things we need to encounter as we go through a growing application as well, it's just been a thoroughly interesting journey.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm happy with this project that we're on, and we've got so many more things to do.
Okay. So along the way, you probably developed some best practices for someone who's kind of new to Apex. Are there any that you could share?
Yeah. When it comes to, I guess, specific problems in the Apex world, well, in any world, I tend to enjoy the security-related problems and the performance-related problems. So for a beginner, and I stumbled across an email when I was trying to track down how long I had been working with Apex for. There was an email relating to the usage of syntax and how to refer to your items. And I think it's as important now as it is back then, and you've got to use the right syntax for the right context. If you're writing a query, use define variable syntax. If you're generating some HTML somehow, you use some other syntax. And it's a little bit confusing to start off with, but it's something to keep in mind every time you need to refer to a value. What should I be using? What syntax should I be using? But I think more importantly for us, as what I'm talking about, this big application we've built, security and decoupling what a user in our system does, like what's their business role versus what can they actually do, what pages can they visit, what buttons can they press. So all those little privileges we've decoupled from business roles to privileges, and it's just been a fantastic advantage for us to handle the growth of this application. And when the business changes, as they do, we can say, oh, you've got a new business role, we'll set them up, we'll work out what access they have and just start allocating it to people. And it separates our work from administrative work. And it's an example of one of these things that you do it the right way and the thing scales beautifully.
Great. Are there any things to, so the flip side of it is just there are things to do, there are things to avoid, any warnings?
Well, yeah, I guess with that performance comment, I should have left that for the things to avoid. There's a number of occasions where I've stumbled across older code or just something that's been done the wrong way. What's the right word I want to use here? So yeah, making sure you use the right syntax at the right time, I think. I mean, we all make mistakes as we learn, and I've stumbled across code that I've written in the past, and I'm thinking, well, why did I do it that way? And we learn over experience, and one of those experiences has been that everyone experienced and new to the world sometimes uses the wrong syntax at the wrong time. So
all right. So we started off with Perth, and I thought we'll end with Perth. So you mentioned it's one of the most isolated places, but should somebody come to that part of the world and they visit Perth, you know, I'm sure there's probably many things to do, many foods to try, but if there's one experience you'd recommend someone to do if they come out there, what would it be?
Well, it's a good question. And we do get asked that a lot because one of the problems with answering that question is Perth is in a very large state. I think it's maybe even bigger than Texas, to use that cliche. So there's so much to do here, but I mean, Perth itself, the beaches are just nice. We went what we refer to as down south last weekend, which is basically a 3-hour drive in a southerly direction. And there's wineries, there's wonderful beaches and all sorts. Even in the middle of winter, it's nice to visit our beaches. So I've done limited travelling around the world, and beaches are a place that I enjoy visiting, and some places it's nice to have just beautiful white sand instead of black rocks or stones.
And the water's warm?
Warm enough. I don't know about this time of year. I did see someone swimming down south in a place that I thought, well, that's just dedication. But yeah, summertime, it's just a fantastic place to be down at the beach here.
Okay. All right, then. So I think I've got the cue of what to do in Perth. Scott, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for sharing.
No worries. Thank you.